Jake Lindgren, and I am playing Master of Ceremonies tonight, not because I auditioned for the role, but because Bob just told me that is what was happening, and I said, okay. As we all have for any job available in their lifetime. A couple of things of business, because these are two men of the theater. Please make sure any cell phones are on. We don't need any interruptions during tonight's celebration. And that's exactly what tonight is. A couple weeks ago, I was informed that the idea was to have 50 people here representing each year of their life together. And I asked Bob and Roger what year I was. And they said, real quick, number 1. You're all a bunch of losers. I kid, of course. I have been asked to also introduce our head table here. Again, my name is Jake Lindgren. I am a student of Bob. I went to Fall Creek, graduate of 1999, was one of his students in the theater department. Have known them through the Theater Guild and now just call them friends. We have Lee here, who simply put is the boy. And then we have Kathy here, who is Roger's niece, up from Iowa. Bob and Roger, we know. And then we have Susan, who is Bob's sister-in-law. Dennis and Donald, which are Bob's brothers. So before we get started with the dinner, we do have a couple toasts planned, and because, as I said before, we are a couple of men of the theater, we have some bios. But really quick, I do want to just welcome you. This is a very select and intimate group of people who these two gentlemen have known throughout their lifetime together. Tomorrow, I've learned, is the day they went on their first date, 50 years ago. I've also been informed we will hear very different stories about how that went down. And we all know them as a couple differently. We might know them as Mr. Carr and Roger. We might know them as Roger and Bob. We might know them as Roger and Robert. But if you know them, like we all know them, you only need to know them as R&R. And that's what I think every single card says, as I saw them being put in the bowl, was R&R. So really the first celebrity couple name, and everybody's trying to be celebrity couple, is R&R. So going into our first toast, we have a young lady who is up from Chicago. Braved a snowstorm, from what I understand, with her 2 dogs and 2 children, to make it here. She went to Fall Creek, graduated before me, several years. We did not know each other, but she was one of Bob's students in several of his plays. Animal sat, as many of his students have. We were coerced and seduced into the idea of house sitting.
We paid you!
Some of us had parties there and then put pictures in the I won't name names. But this first speaker, Wendy, is her name, went to UWEC, which afforded her time to stay in the area and really solidify her connection and relationship with Bob and Roger. So like I said, she now lives in Chicago with her son and daughter, and has recently obtained her nursing degree. So, Wendy, please come.
That's true, all that he said.
Come on up, come on up. Don't make people turn around. Don't make people turn around.
I'm Wendy. Okay, so I grew up in Fall Creek. I didn't meet this one right away, but I grew up with a big family. And the first I ever heard of him was when I was probably about 10 or 11. My older brother was in high school, and he'd come home and he'd tell my parents, "You gotta meet this teacher. He says the craziest things. He says really funny stuff, and he acts really funny." And he'd tell my parents stuff, and they'd look at each other and laugh, and we'd all laugh. And, who does this? Who would act this way? Does he get in trouble? Is it okay to talk to people this way? I don't know. But then I heard, you know, about him. And then my other brother had him for English, and he'd tell my parents more stories, and I'm like, oh, it's so weird. I couldn't get a feel for who he was, but I got a little, you know, intro before I got to high school. So, my brothers thought you were just funny, and they never met anyone like you. My family got to know you through them. So then when I got to high school and I had him, we would tell my parents the same sort of stories, or how he insulted me, whatever. And so my mom adored him, made him cookies, made him potato soup. And my sister and I were such brown nosers to him. We'd bring him this stuff every day, every week. And I'd stand and wait at the door, waiting for him to pull up with his car at the high school. It's pathetic, but I did. Waiting with a big shower of potato soup, and he's like, "You're such a brown noser. Give me that." And I treated him well. And I continued to behave this way, and he continued to treat me that way. So then at some point he asked my older sister to pet sit for him, and she didn't want to go alone, so I came with, and we pet sat. And their house was this fabulous museum-y type place, but she was scared to be there, so she said, "I'm not going to do it anymore." So, but I was like, "What? I'll do it!" So I became their pet sitter at 14, and I was like, "Who wouldn't want to do this?" I get this family, there's MTV, they have cable, they have frozen pizza, they have please, can I move in? So I took care of Maggie and Thatcher and Lucretia and Leona, and then your next set, I don't remember. I don't remember, but I started with them. Let's see here. Yes, that's what I did. This is the other thing about Bob. So Bob tells me, "Oh, you don't have this male roommate? He travels for his work, and you know, we're both single men, so we just share this house and pay the expenses, like we, you know, because it's so expensive to live on your own." I'm like, "Yeah." So I was introduced as Rogers' roommate, and that's what I fully believe. I had no other concept of what life could be or is. And so after I graduated high school, I went to college. I still knew them and still pet sat for them. And I don't know, at some point, I don't know that they ever said, "Hey." I was really just very naive and would have believed anything they said. There's not gay people in the world. I don't know what that is even. So anyway. And before I went to college, when I was graduating from high school, I was like, "You know, I don't think I'll go to college." And Bob's like, "Yes, you are." "What?" "Yes, you are. You go fill that form out right now." I was like, "What?" So he insisted that I apply at Eau Claire, even though I was not going to go to college because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But he insisted. I took the ACT. I'm sure it was miserable, but I got in. Amazing.
You're the director of the mission.
And then after I was there for a year and a half, I wanted to quit, and so I just didn't register for classes. But Roger knew I didn't do that. And those two strong-armed me to staying into school, basically forced me to stay in school and would not let me quit. And they forced me to pick out classes for the spring semester and go to the college and apply again. I was so mad. I was furious at them, but they were giving me some tough love. So at that point, let's see here. Yeah, I put down, they're real a-holes to me in the most loving way. All right, so anyway, after we established the whole we're a couple thing, I think things got like a little more open. And so at that point, I feel like, I was a little more grown up. They were probably more grown up too, and they let me into their life, their fancy lives, which I always said they had fancy lives. Fancy, smart friends, these artsy, fartsy, smartsies. And they showed me their life, all their traveling and going out to they took me to restaurants and to the cities and to plays and Chinese food, which I never had, and Mexican food, and then they always had drinks, and I'm like, oh, so fancy and grown up. And they also just let me into their loving relationship. So it was a nice way to see that without me actually realizing that I was experiencing that. So I thank you for that, because that shaped me a big impact on me. And I just want to say, Roger balances Bob. Where Bob is silly and loud, Roger's quiet and stoic. Bob swears, Roger smiles. Bob calls me ugly, Roger says, here's a cup of coffee. So it's not a fest. They continue to be a happy, steady, and loving couple who continues to put up with my crap and keep me in their lives. They continue to love me and be kind to me and my children. And most of all, they allow me to be me and I allow them to be them. And I think that all works out. I love you guys.
Well, now I'm pissed because that was pretty much my story. So during Gene and Laura's, I will be concocting a new story. Our next toasters are a couple and have been married to themselves for a very long time. They have been friends with Bob and Roger for well over 30 years. And they have shared innumerable life experiences of births, marriages, deaths, though none their own yet. So that's exciting. Founding the Chippewa Valley Theater together many years ago, and then most importantly, Vodka Gimlets. Y'all thought I was going to say Democrats, right? So I would like to introduce Laura and Gene.
I'm Laura, I'm the one speaking.
In the itinerary I received in the email this week, it said Gene in parentheses question mark, so it's never secure if Gene is going to speak.
Okay. 50 years. Bob and Roger. Sometimes said as one word. Roger and Bob, R&R, the others. Gene and I decided we've known them for 47 of these 50 years. Way more than 30. Gene met them through theater, again, surprise, at UWEC, Summerstock, 1969, Little Mary Sunshine. This is the best. I met them through mutual friends from a church youth group discussion group.
I don't understand.
And much to Roger's chagrin, I was in high school and underage. He had a real problem with that. With them, I tasted my first amaretto, my first Tanqueray and tonic, and my first delicious vodka. We've never known them without each other. It's always been Bob and Roger. It's said that an anniversary is a celebration of love, trust, partnership, tolerance, and tenacity. And the order varies for any given year. And now they have reached a milestone. 50 golden years. Sharing the same journey, sharing a wonderful past. We celebrate the two of you on this day. And when you walk through life for 50 years with the person you love and trust, then every day is a celebration. To quote Shakespeare, "To me, fair friend, you never can be old. For as you were when first your eye I eyed, such seems your beauty still." And now, let us raise our glasses. R&R, Roger and Bob, Bob and Roger. 50 years, happy golden anniversary, and too many more. And in a nod to Bob's Tevye, CBTG's Fiddler on the Roof, 1987. My, that song went well.
Thank you, Laura and Jean. That was real good. I am privileged then to bring in the last toast of the evening before we start dinner. As I said before, I was a student of Bob's, and I had an older brother who was not in theater, but his senior year, he auditioned, got the lead in Our Town. And I was in 8th grade, and we did not get along. And then I got the call. They needed me to come up and star in the Fall Creek High School production of Our Town as a chorus member. I was in the funeral, I was at the wedding, I was a baseball player, but it changed my life forever. It ushered me into a relationship that I hold very dear and cherish very much. Through high school and through all the plays, obviously I knew Bob. I had him as a teacher, as a professor, made me laugh, ridiculed me, much like Wendy, which meant he liked you. If he called you a name, called you ugly, you knew you were in. I made it. I only met Roger through his voice the first couple times, because if you're in a play directed by Bob Carr, a prop is needed, a costume is needed, and all of a sudden you're just told, go call 832-4608 and leave a voicemail and tell me to bring it tomorrow. Okay, so you run to his office, remembering 832-4608, 832-4608, 832-4608, okay, bring this, whatever, and then you're expecting a voicemail and you're, hello? Oh my God, there's a voice. I'm supposed to tell Bob to bring something, and Roger would, okay, let me get a pen and paper and write it down. And then he would come to shows, and that's how I got to meet Roger. Much like Wendy, I was under the information that they were roommates. Small town farm boy, I didn't ask questions, it made sense to me, okay, they're roommates. So I started animal sitting, much like the students ahead of me, and was told I could sleep in the front room, which was Roger's. Okay, that's cool. I don't ask questions. They travel together, they live together. Sure. I much like Wendy, have no idea when I found out the truth. I'm pretty sure I just went, huh. Okay. From there, I was quickly inducted into the Chippewa Valley Theater Guild family, which I still hold very dear. 20 years ago, I think it was probably my anniversary now. And I've learned so much from them, and now they are, though I don't work with them in the theater, they are vast supporters of mine, and I very much look forward to their support and critique when I do shows under my own name with Downstage Left, a company I started here several years ago. They're always the first ones there. They're always sitting in their spots at the back of the theater, which means they're the first ones out the door to congratulate and give hugs and lie to my face and tell me it was the best thing that they've ever seen. And I so very much look forward to that. And aside from that, now they are part of my Sunday tradition, which is having brunch with a select Theater Guild family. And we have brunch every Sunday, and it's a place where we catch up and where we gossip and where we just are. We're a family, we're close. I'm so honored. If somebody would have told me back in 1999 when I was graduating high school I would be here giving a toast to this couple, I'm going to be famous by then. So I'm here giving a toast, so we all know how that career's working out for me. But most importantly, what they are to me through all of the years is a shining example of what a couple is and should be. In a society where people rarely make it past 3 years of marriage, everything's splattered on Facebook, everything is pictures and whatever, we all know everybody's business. This is an example to live by. This is something to aspire to, and I'm so grateful to be witness to it and be a part of it and here to celebrate it. So please raise a glass one final time to R&R. Cheers. And I do believe we will have Chef Nathan. I lied. I have more. There's more. I lied. I need to thank Chef Nathan Berg, who will come out and introduce us. He has prepared this beautiful meal. He will be, what? I have it in the program, Sandy O'Connell. I know what I'm doing. That would be my boss, the OCD owner of Avalon, Florida. Nathan Berg, who is preparing this meal, is got the wonderful honor and job of being the chef at what will be the new restaurant here at the Oxbow Hotel, just down the street. He'll be opening the Lakely restaurant, which I am personally very excited about. And then I also want to give a shout out and thank you to Miles Adams, who has been playing the piano while we all. And thank you to Forage for hosting. There he is.
Here's Chef Nathan.
Chef Nathan Berg, everyone.
But when Bob and Roger asked me to do this event, I was very, very honored. They've been to lots of my dinners here at Forage and probably elsewhere too. I don't even know if we got into that conversation, but yeah. So I was very excited to do this dinner and couldn't be more happy for it. So for anybody that doesn't know, my style is very, very local. Everything. So even when things seem like they're not local, there's probably a whole bunch of it that is. For example, in this salad course, there's a smoked paprika dressing. I actually grew the paprika peppers myself and smoked them myself and made vinaigrette with it. So that's going to be your menu tonight. I'm sure I'll be out and about once we're done with the dinner part, but in the meantime, I'm going to disappear and make it happen. Thank you all very much for letting me cook for you today.